Hey guys, welcome to Colorado Springs, where Zach and I have come out here in the Ford F-150 Lightning to cover the 100th running of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb for the Smoking Tire podcast. We've got interviews with drivers, engineers, we've got lessons on how to take the right line up the mountain, and be sure to follow along at the Smoking Tire podcast on video, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts to check that content out. The F-150 Lightning is actually, as we will demonstrate, an incredible mobile podcast studio. But the reason I'm starting from standing out here instead of inside the truck like normal is because a lot of the most interesting stuff about the Lightning happens when the truck isn't even moving. Hey guys, today's video is brought to you by my pals at Bob's Watches. I love Bob's because they've always got something new in stock for me to check out on their website. If you go to bobswatches.com/TST, you can see my picks from their current inventory, some of my favorite stuff, but then also click over to the new arrivals tab because they've always got new stuff coming in every week. New stuff from Rolex, Patek, AP, Omega, or Panerai, another one of my favorite brands. This month, I'm rocking the Luminor Carbotech forged carbon case with the blue sandwich style. I love it. Super, super light on the wrist. And you can buy this watch when I send it back next week. I love Bob's because what you see is what you get. They got photographers and watchmakers on staff ensuring that the product that they're selling is authenticated, that is mechanically sound, it works, it keeps time like it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, Bob's will take care of you. They are great folks down there. You can go visit them in person or just check out their website, bobswatches.com/TST. Hit the link in the video description. And thanks to Bob's for sponsoring today's video. First off, obvious, no engine. No engine means plenty of storage room in a really smartly designed frunk. We've got our camera case in here. You can hold a bunch more shit. In fact, you can hold 400 pounds worth of stuff in a relatively low load-in height here. We've got multiple outlets, which we've used to create a mobile podcast studio in the front. And there's even under storage down here for the portable charge cable. On the inside, there's so many cup holders, there's so many smart storage solutions, and like all F-150s, you can flip up the back seat for really useful under-seat storage. We've got our podcast microphones and our cables here. We've got some snacks, paper towels, trash bags, jackets. There's more power outlets in the cabin, not to mention when you put the seat down, tons of leg room back here because this is a pretty big truck. If we move to the back, not only do we have a power operated tailgate, but also tons of power. You've got 4 120 outlets for all your stuff, and even a 240 outlet so you can plug in a welder, an impact gun, or other construction grade or motorsport grade tools. We use these outlets to set up 2 planchas, and you can kind of see our bacon grease here, and we made bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches for the crew and the yellow vests up on the mountain, and we ran 2 planchas for an hour each and only used about 10 miles of the battery pack. The F-150 Lightning is, even forgetting that it's a car, one of the biggest battery packs that consumers can buy, period. With the extended range battery like this one has, it's 131 kilowatt hours. It is a monster battery, and it's useful for all kinds of things before you even drive the car. In fact, this car has a mode that can power your house in the event of a power outage for up to 3 days. You can also charge another EV using the Lightning, which is a pretty cool feature. All right, now that I've gone through all that stuff, let's hop in and see how it actually drives. Once you're inside, it is mostly similar to the F-150 that you may already know of. I'm, of course, assuming that you know what an F-150 is. It is America's best-selling truck. It is big, it is cushy, it's spacious.
There's storage for everything.
There's tons of storage. All the controls are kind of big and manly.
Well, you can hit the buttons with gloves on.
Yes.
There's still a lot of button buttons, which is nice, although not here, of course.
Yeah, buttons for cruise control, buttons for menu items, and then the tablet that we have seen in the Mach-E. Basically the same setup as the Mach-E. A couple little icon changes for 2023, and I've found that the menus boot up a little faster in this. When I start my Mach-E, it takes 10, 15 seconds for everything to kind of power on and wake up. This one does it in probably 5 seconds.
Wow. And it responds, I mean, just when you were scrolling here, like super quick,
which
is what you want. It's very good.
Base models have a 12-inch touchscreen. This one, the Platinum, has the 15-inch, the Big Daddy touchscreen.
Right.
So this truck is a Platinum. It is basically as expensive as this truck will get. I priced one of these things out. It's like $95,000.
Yeah, it's
expensive. So in this video, we will answer a couple of questions. Is this thing worth $95,000? Question number one. Is it better than the Rivian R1T for basically the same money? Should you buy one? Or maybe why should you not buy one? And we'll cover that in this video. Boilerplate items. 2 EV motors, permanent 4-wheel drive, 580 horsepower, 775 pound-feet of torque. This thing is not subtle. 0 to 60 in 4.0 seconds as measured by Car and Driver.
Which is half a second faster than advertised. So they're almost sandbagging a little bit.
They are sandbagging, and the quarter mile in 12.7 at 107 noted that the top speed is 110. So you're basically getting to your top speed in a quarter mile from a dig. With the extended range battery, which this one has, 131 kilowatt hour battery, you get an estimated 300 to 320 mile range, which in our experience so far this week, I have no reason to doubt if the conditions are good.
Yeah, it's basically right in line with Rivian's advertised range. And then if you have the smaller battery, which this is like 98 kilowatt hours you can get, the range is like 230, something like that, depending on trim and packages and things.
You have to get the big battery to get certain features, like the 240 outlet, like the thing where it can generate and charge your house. You need the bigger battery pack for that. Bigger battery pack, $10,000. Honestly, probably worth it.
But you can add that pack to like the Lariat, so you don't have to get the Platinum. But if you get the Platinum, it only comes with the big battery pack.
Right. With the Platinum, your maximum towing is 8,500 pounds. Some of the other trims go up to 10,000 pounds. And it weighs 6,855 pounds. It's actually 300 pounds lighter than a Rivian R1T. Despite that, the Rivian is 1 second quicker in the quarter mile. So the Rivian is actually a little faster, but there are other things that this does better than the Rivian. The Lightning starts at $54,000 for a pretty base model. You can get a really nice one in the mid to high 70s, and then this one has all the bells and whistles, the 18-speaker B&O stereo,
including a speaker in the headrest, which is crazy.
The massage seats. All of the outlets you could possibly imagine, nicer leather, the bigger wheel, the 22-inch wheels and
panoramic
tires.
sunroof. I mean, everything you could almost think of a luxury car could come with, plus everything you'd want a truck to come with.
All of that. And so we're going to take it for a go and see what she do. I'm just going to stomp it from a dig, Zach.
Yeah, I'm going to put my head on the headrest.
In sport mode. We will go to drive mode. We are in sport.
Okay.
Left foot brake, right foot gas, load brake, and here we go.
It leans back a lot.
It does ride up on the haunches. And woo!
Wow, it hides the speed a lot.
Well, you're high up in the air, right? So it masks it. And what's even wilder is the acceleration from 60 to 100 on the freeway. That's really where I find it to be like useful. I mean, how often are you drag launching your F-150?
No.
But to scoot around, to make a pass, right? The 30 to 50 and 50 to 70 mile an hour acceleration, as tested by our friends at Car and Driver, ties the R1T. So in the quarter mile, the R1T gets out of the hole quicker, right? And that, I think, because it can squat down a bit, get lower, and has 4 motors instead of 2.
Right.
But once you're moving, it's a different story.
They kind of even out a bit.
Oh,
this basically feels like we're driving a diesel-powered, truck in terms of that highway acceleration, that huge torque.
So we're going the wrong way.
Oh, yes, we are.
We're going the wrong way, so I will have to make a U-turn. I apologize, people. I did not I didn't think about that. I was so excited to just go. Turning radius.
It's a truck.
It's terrible.
A four-door truck. It's very big.
It's big.
There's no rear
clunky,
steer.
No rear steer.
It just turns around like a truck.
This shifter, which can fold out of the way to make a table, is my least favorite thing about the F-150. It feels kind of cheap and chintzy.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll just smash the throttle and giddy up.
Well, so many things about this truck feel like quality items, especially the drivetrain. It's smooth and there's like a weight to all of it.
Yeah.
And then when you activate the drivetrain with the shifter, there's this strange disconnect.
Yeah. So in so many ways,
G-forces are moving things around.
In so many ways, it's just an F-150, right? It's not pretentious about its kind of, we're going to save the world, and it's got vegan this and avocado colors. It's a straight up F-150, and it rides, it handles like an F-150. The downsides, these trucks, there's a lot of secondary vibrations.
Right.
The body on frame thing.
The payload, this car can handle, or truck can carry like over 2,000 pounds in the bed, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But to do that, you need really strong springs in the back, and that's the compromise. That's why trucks for so long have had this jittery, busy ride when they are unladen, because it's like driving a race car that has really stiff springs and there's no downforce activated yet.
Right. The Rivian isn't really for that. It's not really a work truck. So it has that height adjustable, adaptive air suspension, which does give you a better ride in most settings, and it also provides better handling.
Absolutely.
The handling of this is not very good.
Well, it's not fun. Like
No.
the Rivian, we were amazed because it felt like a lifted GTR. I mean, it felt agile and the steering response was quick. It stayed flat through corners. It was like, why are we having so much fun caning this pickup truck? But this, it has truck springs. Like, it has fixed truck springs. It's got a normal steering rack. It is not something that you go, let's go take this to the canyons. It's going to be a good time.
A little bit of torque steer at the front there. When I matted it with the wheel kind of cranked over. It was a little
pulled
torque
over
steer.
a little bit.
Yeah, this is, in a straight line, the fastest F-150 ever by over a second. This will take a Raptor by a second in the quarter mile, which is a ton. So it clearly has more power than it really needs.
Yeah.
We don't need this. And yes, this one can tow 8,500 pounds, but let's for a second talk about EV towing.
Okay.
Yes, it has the power and the torque. Mm-hmm. It'll probably be very smooth. And it has lots of cool features like the Pro Trailer Control that will help you back up a trailer, basically steer by wire, in the back. Right? But charging with a trailer connected, there are so few places where you can pull up to a charger sort of like you would a gas station and still have your trailer connected and not be blocking half the world.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a pull-through EVgo charger.
Baker.
They're usually
only
like,
Baker.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
The only one I've ever seen is in Baker, California. The rest are nose in.
Nose in, right.
So that really means you're either going to block a bunch of people or you have to disconnect the trailer to charge, which really limits you to, okay, I'll tow my boat to the lake 30 miles away and back. Mm-hmm. Or, it's short range towing where you don't have to rely on the public network.
Yeah.
Long haul towing is still not something that this thing can do. So I don't think it's a good idea to buy one of these and really consider towing as a legitimate use case unless it's short haul.
I agree, because they've put a lot of work into their software where you can punch in like what kind of trailer you have, what's it weigh, what are you pulling, and then if you have your route plugged in, it will tell you how far you're going to be able to go using the topography of that route. And they're trying to get it down to like 5% accuracy, which is very good. But you have to keep in mind, you're going to be adding on that charge time of unhooking the trailer, rehooking the trailer, and the charging, you can only charge at 150 kilowatts. Yeah. So it's not going to be super fast. So that trip is going to take you an extra 40 minutes.
It's not a good plan.
No. If you want to tow a lot, you get the F-150 hybrid, which can tow and has the Pro power. You kind of have the best of both worlds there.
So one thing that this does better than the Rivian is actually road noise. The Rivian at highway speeds, you can hear the whine of the 4 electric motors, and it actually gets a little annoying. This thing is dead silent. In fact, Car and Driver, which has one of those foam heads with the sensors in it, They recorded 65 decibels at 70, which isn't just quieter than the Rivian, it's quieter than any Tesla they've ever tested as well.
Wow.
Only the Taycans and the Audi e-tron GT were actually quieter than that.
They've done an amazing job with the aerodynamic and wind noise management in this truck and the other F-150 I drove. Like, it's really impressive.
Switcheroo.
Yep.
Seat adjustability is good. You get the adjustable pedals. So Zach and I can sit. You can sit and get the wheel, get your pedals however you want it. And then I can turn on my massage seats. 5 different massage options. I like full recovery.
Apparently, getting in this seat, it seems like you like full butt. That's like all I'm getting over here.
Listen, don't judge.
I don't. You know what? You're right. I should not shame. All right, so you have your massage activated. I've got this going.
There's so much room in it, but it's weird to me when people buy these to use as a luxury vehicle because the ride is not luxurious,
not at all,
especially on bumpy roads. That's like a very American thing to do.
Well, it's so weird because you're compromising the entire driving experience because of the bumps.
We can turn
around,
yeah.
But all in the name of having some space and some other stuff. Ooh, aggressive brakes.
It doesn't. I also wish you could disconnect one of the motors. I wish you could put it in 2-wheel drive Drifto mode.
Right.
And maybe if they do a Raptor Lightning that you'll be able to do that. But it's permanent 4-wheel drive.
Which also reminds me, you cannot activate the locking diff and do one pedal driving, I read. So whereas the Rivian was great for downhill off-roading because we could one pedal drive and it almost acted like hill descent control.
Yeah.
You can't do that in this with the diff locked. Jeez.
The power and the torque are just amazing.
Of course.
I mean, it really has great power delivery. The programming of the accelerator pedal. I mean, I remember when we drove the Rivian in the canyons, when it lowered down on its sport suspension, the throttle became very sensitive and you'd get that bucking. This, without a height adjustable suspension, that doesn't really come into play.
Yeah.
But also the throttle versus regen is very smooth.
Yes. And the regen gets like stronger and stronger progressively the longer you've lifted off the throttle,
right?
Which I really like.
Yeah, that's great because your body learns it quickly, and you can one pedal drive coming up to red lights. It'll go all the way to a stop. What?
There's a deer. It basically it mimics like when you're braking a little bit harder as you come into a corner.
Right.
It mimics that well. Dude, the ergonomics in this between the adjustable pedals, the wheel position, everything feels really well suited. Like this is almost how I'd want a race car setup.
Yo, you can make it fit anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one thing that's really, really good about this is that you can adjust everything, how you want it to be.
Not a lot of steering feel, I would say. I mean, the weight is fine. I know,
truck.
but I'm just thinking like compared to Rivian, the Rivian had good tactile feedback. This does not.
No, this is just as a truck, and the things that make this truck fun are not the dynamics. It's sort of how it could enable your outdoor lifestyle or your practical lifestyle. I mean. Oof. I mean, if you were a contractor, this is a giant power station that you can drive.
Yeah.
You can plug in like we did, like on Pikes Peak. We had a full podcast studio set up in the front, right, with a big board and cameras all plugged in and microphones all running off of the truck's power. And then in the back, I had 2 1,500-watt planchas making bacon, egg, and cheeses at the same time. Mm-hmm. We could have also run an impact gun and changed the tires on race cars.
Yeah, and we had all that going for an hour or two, and it barely moved the needle on the battery. I mean, it's really good.
And although, yes, going up the very tall mountain of Pikes Peak used more juice than if we were driving on flat land, we regened like 40 miles worth of electricity on the way back down. So the regeneration is really good, and our net energy use for that entire activity was relatively very small. Granted, it wasn't that cold or that hot. It was pretty mild conditions the whole time. So we can't tell you what the battery's like in the freezing cold or the boiling heat. But based on my experience with a Mach-E and based on how we have been using power in this thing, Ford's estimates are not wildly conservative or wildly optimistic. They're pretty spot on with the energy that you're actually using.
I mean, there's a ton of energy here, and shout out to Jason Fensky for figuring this out. Like, the smaller pack of this truck has more battery capacity than 7 Tesla Powerwalls, and it's actually like $8,000 cheaper if you get the cheapest truck with
Really?
that. So it's that is how much power is in this, and then also there's a truck built around it, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, in our new climate changing world with rolling blackouts and power outages and a crappy grid that goes down all the time, there's a real argument for having this thing, and knowing that it's there if you need to power your home.
Right.
I mean, you do need to have the Ford branded charger.
It's about $3,800. Yeah,
installed in your home, so it doesn't just, you don't just plug it into the regular outlet in the garage and it reverses the flow.
Right.
It doesn't work quite like that, but it still does work.
And if you didn't want to buy that, you could, I believe, like run an extension cord from your fridge to the truck. If all you wanted to do was the essentials, you could do something like that.
Yeah. I love it and hate it for everything that I love and hate about really smart EVs. The public charging network still sucks.
Yep.
Shout out to the Spring Hill Suites in Colorado Springs because they have level 2 chargers, and we haven't had to visit a public charger yet. We've been able to charge it up overnight, every night, and start with a full charge. So public charging network still sucks, but this is a really well-designed, smartly engineered, practical, useful tool to have when you're out in the woods and you need a bunch of power.
Absolutely. It's super clever. And they've done, the frunk is better in this than the Rivian, because the Rivian you have to like load your things over the lip like a bucket.
It's just a hood.
And
the grill, the quote grill comes up too.
Right.
Yeah. This thing is great. Now, to answer our question, is it worth $95,000?
I mean, that's a lot of money considering a lot of the materials you touch and see in this look like $50,000 F-150 parts. Like everything here, and this kind of, they call it wood, but honestly it looks like gray snakeskin to me. Like that doesn't look that luxurious. So it's more like the function is good, but not $95,000.
I would say the XLT with the extended battery pack for 70 to 75, that's probably right on the money.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a high-end contractor and this is your business, this is your office and your power station and your business and everything, and then all right, I get it, spring for the nice one. Compared to the Rivian, I would say if you're using it as a work truck or more of a utility vehicle, this is probably better.
Yes.
If you're using it as a daily driver, engaging luxury vehicle, the Rivian's probably
Absolutely.
better. One thing this has, CarPlay, satellite navigation, satellite radio, the Rivian does not have that. So
this also wins the storage contest inside, like every way.
That was very good, but this has some extra gimmicks that allow you to use it as a mobile office or whatever. Really, like, should you buy one or why not? If you don't need to tow long haul and you're looking at an F-150 anyway, and you have somewhere to charge at home, yes, definitely.
I think what's hard for me is having driven the F-150 hybrid, which also can operate silently and has the Pro Power, and you don't have the range anxiety problems. It actually reminded me how good the F-150 is, but how good that truck is. So I'd actually want to drive those back to back and see, do I really want the EV experience all the time? Because that delivers a lot of the other things. I mean, two brothers fighting.
Yeah, pickup truck powertrains are often kind of clunky. They hunt for gears.
True.
And they're not as refined. They're not typically set up to be luxurious. So having the smoothness of this powertrain really feels nice. And I really like the one-pedal driving versus the hybrid where the engine was going on and
Very
off.
True.
But, it depends on your particular situation. The ability to run so much stuff in this, I mean, from a production standpoint, amazing. From a camping or racetrack standpoint, like, amazing. So thank you to Ford for letting us have this thing for a week. Please check out our podcast coverage of the 100th running of Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. Anywhere you get podcasts, The Smoking Tire Podcast, or, of course, youtube.com/TheSmokingTire Podcast. And we'll see you back in LA.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.